President, I want to very briefly do three things this afternoon. Number one, there are a lot of politicians and pundits and economists who are proclaiming all over the country that the recession is over, and they have some economic models by which they determine that the recession is over. I would suggest to those pundits and economists and politicians to take a look at the booklet that we recently produced in my office. It's called Struggling Through the Recession, Letters from Vermont, and we've also received letters from other states, people in other states as well. And what these letters tell us, and I should tell you that we sent out a request for people to tell us as we enter the third year of this recession what is happening in their lives. And we got from my small state over 400 responses. That's a lot from a small state, and we got probably an equal number from around the rest of the country. And one of the problems that I had with these letters is that some of them are so painful to read that it's hard to read more than a few at a time, because you really, you get sick to your stomach seeing what good and decent and hardworking people are going through. And I just want to take a few moments today, Mr. President, to read just a handful of the letters that I'm receiving from Vermont in answer to the question, is the recession over? This comes from a young lady from central Vermont, and she says, quote, "I've been fortunate to hold on to my job throughout the past 3 years, especially since I have about $42,000 remaining on my school loans." And Mr. President, one of the recurring themes that we hear from all over Vermont, and I suspect that it is true in New Mexico and all over this country, is a lot of young people are graduating with a heck of a lot of debt. And the jobs that they are getting are not sufficient in terms of pay to help them pay off that debt. And she writes, anyway, what I want to write isn't about me, it's about my boyfriend, a talented mechanical engineer who graduated with about $80,000 in school loans. So we're telling the young people of this country, go out and get an education. They're coming out with huge loans, having a hard time getting a job. He was laid off in November 2009, and it has not only caused financial hardship, but it has put all of our future plans on hold. He fortunately has temporary employment now after nearly a year of searching. But my qualm is with the high cost of education and how people in their 20s are supposed to move forward with their lives with school debt lingering over them. And that is a very significant point. Here's another one. This is a young man from Barre, Vermont, in the central part of our state. In 2002, I received a scholarship to St. Bonaventure University, the first in my family to attend college. Upon graduation in 2006, I was admitted to the Dickinson School of Law at Penn State University and graduated in 2009 with $150,000 of student debt. Not uncommon. In Western New York, I could find nothing better than a $10 an hour position stuffing envelopes. Another example of a young person graduating from college, doing all of the right things, and yet ending up with very sufficient debt. That's from some of the younger people. Then we got some letters from middle-aged people. And this is a woman, again, from the central part of our state. Quote, "My husband lost his job in 2002 and has been self-employed as a carpenter ever since due to the lack of jobs in central Vermont. And I should tell you, Mr. President, the recession has been less disastrous in Vermont than in many other parts of the country. And these are stories from a state that has not been as hit as hard as some other states. He's had no insurance, and we have not saved a cent since 2002. We've depleted our savings account, paying for property taxes. We've been burning wood to save money heating the house. The cost of fuel for the house and vehicles puts a huge burden on making ends meet. Being self-employed is extremely challenging due to the economic situation." Again, she's touching on an issue that millions of people are aware of, price of gas. To get to work is going up. Price of home heating fuel in states like Vermont is going up. Wages are low for millions of people. How do they survive in that crisis? We also have stories from older people, and this is from a woman named Beth who lives in the northeastern part of our state, very rural part of Vermont. And she says, she is 69 years of age, and she says, I don't know what kind of a future my grandkids will have. How will they be educated if we can't help them? It is great that there are loans out there for education, but they are being charged more for the schools than I paid for my house. They will be in debt their whole lives. So here's a woman who's worried about her grandchildren. Here's another woman. Ellen lives in Rutland County. Quote, all I can say is I still have a job for all it's worth. I feel making $8.81 an hour at 17 hours per week is ridiculous. This woman is 63 years of age. I don't bring home enough to help out with the major household expenses I used to pay half on. I'm lucky if my paycheck reaches $130 a week. By the time I pay a few bills, gas up and pick up a few needed items, I'm lucky if I have any left for spending. I earned less than $8,000 this year. It's just about what I made back in the 1970s and lived better. So point here is, A, if folks tell you the recession is over, read some of these stories. These stories are available on my website, sanders.senate.gov. These are mostly from Vermont, but I think they touch the same themes that exist all over our country. For millions and millions of people, not only those who are unemployed, those who are underemployed, those who are working full-time and not making a living wage, trust me, the recession is not over. And, Mr. President, the reason I ask people to send me this letter, these letters, is that I think it's important as a Senate to understand that we have got to address these economic issues. When 16% of our people are either unemployed or underemployed or have given up looking for work, when millions more are working at inadequate wages, we cannot say that we should not be vigorously going forward in creating millions and millions of jobs that our people desperately need.